The Menendez brothers' resentencing hearing is coming up on March 20th and 21st, but unlike their trial in 1989, Eric and Lyle may have a real chance at a fair hearing this time around. As you may know, Eric and Lyle were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for their parents' murder, despite the brothers' insistence that they did it because their father abused them for years and years. The problem was that all the evidence about this abuse was presented in their first trial, but that trial ended with a hung jury, meaning the jurors couldn't reach a unanimous decision. Then, in their second trial, the judge barred any evidence about the brothers' history of sexual abuse from being presented in their case. And that's when they were found guilty. In the late 80s and early 90s, it was hard for people to believe that the brothers were as safe because abuse against boys wasn't really talked about as much as it is now. But recently, new evidence has been found which proves Eric and Lyle were telling the truth about their father. When Eric was a teen, he wrote his cousin Andy a letter telling him all about his father coming into his room in the middle of the night and making him do unspeakable things. Remember, back in the day, the brothers were convicted because it was assumed that they were not actually being abused. So having a letter that was written before the murder does change everything. The main obstacle the brothers are facing now, which could potentially prevent them from being resentenced, is the new Los Angeles DA, who doesn't seem to support their cause. If you guys are kind of on the fence about this case, I would advise that you watch the Menendez brothers documentary to better understand this case, and I can promise you your opinion will definitely change. At Eric and Lyle's upcoming hearing, the DA could recommend to the judge that the boys be resentenced, but he also might not. A free way that you can support their resentencing is by using the Justice for Eric and Lyle link in my bio to sign the petition to the DA.
How long you can survive without one of your organs, without one kidney, your entire life, without the nose, 65 years, without the stomach, 5 years, without the mouth, 3 days, without the heart, 10 minutes, without the bones, 8 minutes, without the brain, 6 minutes, without the lungs, 5 minutes, without the skin, 30 seconds, without your phone, 0 seconds.
Tips that could save your life.
If the ice isn't floating, don't drink it. There is something in the drink. Never sleep with your windows open. Typing for 144 will turn on TikTok's dark mode. If you're ever in a falling elevator, lay flat on your back. Leave a note on a table before you leave the house. If you come back and it's gone, leave the house immediately and call the police. There is no name that starts with an S and ends with S.
Breaking news, they have now revealed missing Sudiksha's last known transactions. The missing 20-year-old made the transactions 40 minutes apart on the afternoon of March 5th. Her first payment was made to an unspecified user at 2:54 p.m. with only an emoji of a sailboat. At 3:38 p.m., she paid a second Venmo user for Coco Bongo, which is seemingly a reference for a popular nightclub in the area. And it was billed as, quote, the hottest nightlife spot in the Dominican Republic. Then a missing persons report was filed by her friends around 4 p.m. on March 6th. Her father then subsequently filed his own report from his hometown about 2 hours later. After furthering the investigation, authorities have now named a person of interest. He has been identified as a 24-year-old senior at St. Cloud State University. They say while he is a person of interest in this case, they are cautioning that he is not a suspect. He is believed to have been the last person to have seen her. They have also confirmed the resort lost power around 1:27 a.m., which is why she and the person of interest may have been on the beach in the middle of the night. They said power wasn't fully restored until early the next morning. Due to the power outages, it disabled their security systems and cameras at the resort. Because the beach area is usually off limits at night, it was also unsupervised. The outage also disrupted the lighting and security systems and security surveillance cameras on the beach. To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
Here are some horror movie fates that are even worse than being sewn into a human centipede. Because just when you thought you've seen it all, I'm here to bring you the worst of the worst. I don't really see a lot of people talking about this, but there's one scene in this movie that still haunts me, and it's been years since I saw it. Wrong Turn from 2021 is about a group of friends who go hiking in the Appalachian Mountains. And there they encounter a cult called the Foundation, and this cult has a very unique justice system. And the scene that I'm talking about is how this cult chooses to punish people who commit crimes such as trespassing or even lying. One of the characters in this movie is sentenced to darkness, which is a punishment that is worse than death. And basically what that means is that their eyes and ears are burned out with a hot poker and their tongue is ripped out of their mouths. These people are then kept alive and thrown into a dark cave where they live the rest of their lives in silence and darkness. You literally see all of this happen in the movie, so that definitely traumatized me a little bit. But if you're into body horror, this movie will definitely give it to you. This is the 7th movie in the Wrong Turn franchise, but you don't really need to watch the other movies to watch this, it'll still make sense. A part of me kind of wishes that it was a standalone movie and had nothing to do with the rest of the lore, but overall I did like it. Let me know if you've seen any movies that you think are even more disturbing than the human centipede, and follow for more horror and movie content every single day.
Here are some facts about your body that you probably didn't know. First off, our taste buds do not work without saliva. To test this, try drying off your tongue with a piece of paper towel, and then eat any food you want. You won't be able to taste it until your saliva mixes with it, which dissolves the food, which binds it to our taste receptors. Next, if you ever get punched in the mouth and your tooth falls out, there's actually a chance you can save it. If you gently rinse it and then place it back into the socket, if you do this in a short amount of time, it may actually be able to reattach itself. Next, when you breathe through your nose, you're mostly breathing through one nostril. This is called the nasal cycle, which switches between each nostril every few hours. But you only really notice this when you have a cold.
I just found a way you can change your eye color, and I want to see if you can do it. Okay, what I need you to do is stare at the eye at the center of this circle. Now double tap the screen if you want to know what's going on. Try not to blink, and whatever you do not look away. Now, as you're watching this, you will see this image begin to shift and move. This is the feeling of your brain changing your eye color. It will be a fully different color in 3, 2, 1. Go to a washroom right now and look at your eyes in the mirror. Your eyes will be a different color. Comment what you saw.
Weird facts that you didn't need to know. This is the world's smallest reptile. Look how tiny it is. The stoneheads found in the Easter Islands actually have bodies. Most Korean people have a genetic mutation called ABCC11, which makes their sweat odorless. If you're looking to get revenge on your ex, only slash 3 tires and not 4, because the insurance covers all 4 tires. Cannibalism is legal in 49 US states. An elephant's 5th leg is so big and strong that it can throw around an adult human. Hippos sweat red, like actually.
This is a scary urban legend about the Rake. This is the Rake. He is a scary urban legend in the United States. He is a humanoid creature with very large teeth and claws that stalks its victims and appears at the end of their beds while they sleep, or in the woods or their houses. He is 6 feet tall, with pale grayish skin and 2 very large eyes. When the Rake has a victim, he completely stalks them and terrifies them, and then mutilates their body, completely ripping them apart and killing them. The Rake has a lot of dangerous and powerful powers. He has superhuman strength and speed, also invisibility and shapeshifting, and even teleportation. People who have been stalked by the Rake have either committed suicide because they couldn't handle what the Rake was doing to them, or the Rake just kills them. All in all, the Rake is a very powerful creature, and every single one of us should pray that we never see him.
I've seen hundreds of horror movies, and these are some that actually scared me, and I promise will make you sleep with the lights on. The first time I saw Incantation, I literally had full body chills. This movie just has a way of getting under your skin, and after you're done watching it, you're gonna feel like you're cursed. It's about a mother who realizes that after she messed with this forbidden tunnel that belongs to a religious cult, that she ended up unleashing a curse that is now tormenting her daughter years later. If you're into found footage movies like Hell House LLC, Blair Witch, anything like that, I just have to say that Incantation is one of the scariest found footage movies I've ever seen. You need to watch this if you haven't yet. And for the next movie, I don't mean to be biased, but when it comes to disturbing movies, Asian horror is next level. 99% of this movie I cannot show on here, which is how you know it's good. I genuinely believe that anybody who says the body horror scenes in this movie didn't get to them is probably lying. The Sadness is a movie that pushes every single limit. But I don't know if I'm just messed up because I still think it's a really good movie. But beyond all of that, what really got under my skin is the concept behind this movie. It's kind of a zombie movie, but not really, because it centers around a virus that makes people act on their darkest thoughts. The messed up things that they desire on the inside, the things that they're too afraid to act on. If you guys know about the comic book series Crossed, the virus in the Sadness is kind of like that. And this is the last movie on the list. It's completely different than the past two, but it's megalomaniac. This one is about the children of a serial killer who suddenly disappeared. And we're watching this serial killer's son and daughter attempt to either live a normal life or carry on their father's legacy. This is a very strange movie. I would describe it as kind of like watching someone's nightmare unfold. If you like weird horror crime movies, almost like Longlegs but turned up to 100, then Megalomaniac might just be for you. Let me know what was the last horror movie that really scared you, because if I haven't seen it, I'll watch it and I'll recommend it if I really liked it. And don't forget to follow for more.
Scientists have created super skin that can self-heal 90% of damage in just 4 hours. This breakthrough is made possible by combining entangled polymer networks with ultra-thin nanosheets, making it incredibly resistant, allowing you to heal like a superhero. This milestone opens a window to newer possibilities in the fields of wound healing, soft robotics, artificial skin, and more.
Here's some rare photos of fascinating people through history. The two people in Grant Wood's American Gothic existed. This is what they looked like, and they were not a couple. It was the artist's sister and his dentist. This was Margaret Gorman, and she won the first Miss America competition in 1921. This was the first iteration of Ronald McDonald from 1963. This was Stephen Bobrowski, known as Lionel the Lion-Faced Man. He had hypertrichosis, which caused hair to grow up to 8 inches long all over his body. He performed with Barnum and Bailey and spoke 5 different languages. This was George Hackenschmidt, credited with inventing the bench press. This was Conrad Veidt, whose performance in the 1928 film The Man Who Laughs inspired the look for the Joker. This was Daniel Lambert, the world's heaviest person in the 18th century, weighing over 700 pounds, and according to a rumor, possibly fought off a bear by himself. This was Maud Wagner, who was believed to be the first female professional tattoo artist in the United States. This was Selma Burke, who designed the portrait of Franklin Roosevelt, still on the dime today. This is John Smith, and he was reported to be 137 years old at his death, but that's not verified. This is Ralph Lincoln, and he is the 11th generation cousin to Abraham Lincoln. This was Franz Reichelt wearing a homemade parachute suit. He tested it by jumping off the Eiffel Tower in 1912, and it did not deploy.
More details have come to light in the case of the author mum who allegedly murdered her husband. Now, this case has just got wild. Eric Richens, who wrote a children's book last year on how they can deal with grief after her husband Eric passed away, has actually been accused of murdering him by lacing a Moscow Mule cocktail with fentanyl last year. It has now come to light that she allegedly attempted to kill him multiple times before this occasion in order to secure his $3.6 million estate. Court documents have shown that Eric had actually previously said to his family, "If anything happens to me, she is to blame," but a family spokesperson said he stayed in the marriage for the sake of their 3 children. Now, according to affidavits obtained by Summit County Sheriff's Office, one of Eric's sisters because Eric and Curry were out in Greece on vacation a few years ago. Now, allegedly, Curry made him a drink that made him violently sick. So much so, he actually called his sister back in America to say he believed Curry tried to kill him. And according to records, there was another incident back on Valentine's Day in 2022. Curry allegedly brought Eric a sandwich, and just after one bite, he had a severe allergic reaction. Hives, couldn't breathe, he had to have an EpiPen and Benadryl, and was reportedly out for hours after just one bite. Now, legal documents obtained by DailyMail.com show the twisted legal battle Curry endured just weeks after Eric's death in order to try and secure the family estate. Curry had claimed that all the money left in her late husband's will was rightfully hers, and had accused Eric of trying to defraud her and take legal action by shielding her from their property and their businesses. Now, according to a police warrant at the time, he had expressed concerns that Curry may kill him for money. So without her knowing, he actually handed over his power of attorney and his will to his sister, Katie. Now, Curry was completely unaware of this, so in her mind, on the terms laid out in their prenup when they got married, everything would be divided and pretty much everything would be left to her. When examining Eric's cause of death, the medical examiner said he had an overdose of fentanyl. 5 times the lethal amount was found in his system, and it looked like he had also taken it orally. They also added it seemed to be illicit fentanyl, not medical grade fentanyl. An anonymous source had actually come forward to police to claim they had sold Curry $900 worth of fentanyl this year. Then she'd come back for another $900 worth of fentanyl after Valentine's Day. Something's not looking good here. Curry Richens has been arrested on suspicion of his murder and is currently being held in custody. Her first trial date is set for May 19th.
For more on this story, head to dailymail.com.
Breaking news, they have now released the full 911 call in the Bryan Kohberger case. Take a listen.
11:55 a.m. 42 seconds, November 13, 2022.
911 location of your emergency.
Hi, something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the White, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What's your phone number?
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Hi, this is.
And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, but we gotta go check. But we have to. Did you pass out? She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you. She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20 here to
Okay.
them.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
You talking to them, say. I can't talk to them. I need you to talk to them.
Hello?
Okay. I have already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again? There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have one. I think yes. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, you have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
My grandma always used to tell me that nothing good happens between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. She would say those are the devil hours. Do not go out during that time. And, you know, I always tell people, if you don't believe any of this stuff, right, go out after midnight into the woods alone and then tell me what you think. Now, many years ago when I was younger, I had just gotten out of the military and I was kind of adjusting to this regular civilian life. Now, one of the things that helped me is I got into doing outdoor survival. Now, I used to do these 4 to 5 mile backpacking hikes where I would go out sometimes 12:30, 1 o'clock at night and hike in the woods. This particular area that I would hike was along the river. It was like this hill, and it was just this heavily wooded area. Now, at the time, right, this area was known to be home to the Peoria Indians. And this is where they hunted. This is where they lived. There's even believed to be this huge burial ground on this area that was never found. So this particular night, I decided to hike this trail called the Pimatui. Now, the Pimatui was an old Native American trail they used to use to get down this hill to the river. So what I would do is I would hike this trail, and I would get to this specific spot where there was a stream that cut through the trail. I would then turn right, and I would follow this stream through a ravine down to the river. So as I'm hiking the Pimatui Trail, I come to the stream, I turn right, and I start following along down this ravine. I start hearing like music, and it sounded like someone was singing, but it wasn't like a person. It was like one of those old music boxes. And as I kept on walking further and further, like it got a little louder and then a little louder. And that's when I get to the specific spot of this stream where it kind of makes a curve, and there's this sharp ravine with 2 steep sides on both sides. And I remember hearing this music like coming from the side of this cliff. And I'm like, what is making that music? Like, where is that coming from? And that's when I see like this opening on the side of the ravine. And, you know, it was probably about this wide. You could, you know, barely crawl through it. And it was some kind of cave or something. So I hiked up to the top of this hill, and I started shining my light into this cave. As I look in there, I see the movement of something very large. And I don't exactly know what it was. I can't explain to you what it looked like, but it caused me to like jump back. And at the time I'm thinking, okay, if this is some kind of wild animal, I'm blocking its only exit. So I started making my way back up the ravine and heading away from there. And as I'm walking, I notice like all this movement up ahead in the woods. And I see several deer just booking it through the woods like something had just scared it. And I could hear from behind me some movement coming up through the woods. And there were like branches breaking, and you know, you could hear the crunch of something hitting the leaves. I go a little faster now because I'm kind of nervous. I'm like, what is following me? As I'm, you know, continuing up the ravine, it starts getting closer and closer. And it got to the point where I knew that it was very, very close. So I pull my camera out and I take a picture with the flash on. And when that flash hit, I could see two glowing eyes staring at me. So I threw my bag down and I just take off running as fast as I can. I get to the trail, I get out of there. And whatever this was, you know, it broke off and didn't follow me. Later that night, you know, I'm looking at this picture and you could clearly see the two eyes. And I'm like, whoa, something was following me, whatever was in that cave. The next day, I hiked back out to this area because I wanted to find this cave again. Except I could not find it anywhere. And I went all the way along that ravine down to the river. There was no cave. And I still, to this day, have no idea what happened that night or what was following me.